Hello, everybody. We are back. It's been 3 weeks since the last episode. Sorry for the hiatus. Big apologies, but schedules got complicated, especially for Andrea Llanes, who you can see but you haven't heard yet, and Jose Armando, who is not in the house today. They had a lot of racing to cover and some celebrities to cover. So they were busy. So it was hard to get a co host on, but we are back. Again, apologies. We will not make a habit of that. We will try to get back to our regular weekly routine here. Of course, if you're listening or if you're watching, I'm Franco Panizo, one of your usual co hosts of this Inter Miami focused podcast slash show called Miami Total Football Radio, the show, or Miami Total Football Radio, the show. Andrea, you came in blue with some red lipstick, your blue earrings. How are you? Looking fabulous. Looks like you came off fresh off of the A1 celebrity event that is the race.
I'm glad to be back, Franco. I'm doing well, a little bit tired. Yes, we had to miss the podcast in this couple of weeks. First, we had the Heat in the playoffs, then we have Formula One. So it's been a little bit hectic, but happy to be here. Happy to be here. Yeah, and after meeting even Anuel.
Anuel, I saw that.
Anuel was there, Don Omar, everyone was there. So it was so fun. But I'm ready to talk about Inter Miami, to talk about football, to talk about Messi not going to Formula One either.
Messi is not going to
the,
Formula One. Other players
the
did though.
biggest, yeah, other players did, but the biggest um, no show was Messi and Taylor Swift, because people were expecting to see Taylor Swift. Only her better half went to the Formula One race. So Messi and Taylor were the absentees on that One weekend, which was good. A little bit tiring, but good, interesting, and always fun. Miami is always fun.
Jorge Mas was also in attendance, and if I'm not
Jorge Mas.
mistaken, Jose got some
Yes.
comments, unas
Yeah.
declaraciones from the Inter Miami co-owner. So that was good. Good work from Jose, who we will welcome back hopefully next week. Andrea, we're going to go right into it because we've got 3 games to catch up on. We're not going to go to every single game, but obviously that's how long it's been since we've done a pod. Again, apologies. It's not a habit of ours, but unfortunately, the last few weeks have been hectic. But nonetheless, Andrea, we will start with the most recent game. Inter Miami's 6-2 victory over the New York Red Bulls at home at Chase Stadium in Fort Lauderdale, Florida this past Saturday. That final score line marked the most goals that Inter Miami has ever scored in an individual match. It's not the biggest win or the biggest margin of victory, but it is the most goals that the team has scored in a victory. In any game. And it came with Lionel Messi delivering another stellar performance, another one for the record books, another one que no se va a olvidar, 1 goal and 5 assists. And those were 5 direct assists,
Real.
not
Yeah, real.
secondary assists like MLS likes
Yeah.
to say.
I don't count. That's why I don't say Messi's total of assists, because MLS counts that ridiculousness of secondary assists. But the ones on Saturday were real assists. They were 5 and a goal. So that's real. That's a real record. That's real.
Anyone who has listened to this podcast or watched this show for any period of time knows that we loathe, we hate, we despise, odiamos secondary assist, aka hockey assist, aka el pase antes del pase para el gol. MLS counts it, and la MLS se cuenta, nosotros no lo contamos, but anyway, Messi, 5 assists and a goal, had a hand in every single tally in that victory. Andrea, I mean, what more can we say about Messi? What more can we say about the level he's performing at? Yes, we know it's MLS. Yes, we know the rosters are uneven and defenses can't stack up with the likes of Messi and Suarez. That's across the board, generally speaking, in MLS. But still, 1
It
goal and
was
5
too
assists.
easy. I put in a tweet because it was too easy. Like, this league is too small for Messi and Luis Suarez, and that's a fact. And that's why we keep seeing this, because I thought it would be harder, especially for Luis Suarez, to adapt to this league. But what we saw on Saturday was the perfect description, because uh, listen, we have seen those assists from Messi but except the ones to Matias Rojas, for me, they were not, the balls were not as exceptional as we have seen Messi other times, but were more New York Red Bulls having six players in defense and not doing anything. Luis Suarez scored cayéndose, falling down. So for me, it tells you a lot that Messi is still Messi, and he shouldn't be playing in MLS. He could have played in Europe a couple of more years, in my opinion. Especially Messi and Luis Suarez. I know his body doesn't give him the ability to play in Europe anymore, but I think Messi, with his ability, could have stayed in Europe a little bit more. It was amazing to see, especially for me. My favorite assist was the one for Matias Rojas' second goal. For me, that's football. That's a pared, as we say in Spanish. Um,
A
and
wall pass, a 1-2, a good old
a
1-2.
1-2, yeah, a good old 1-2. That's how football or soccer, if you call it, should be, and it was beautiful. And of course, Luis Suarez is going to get all the reflections because he scored three goals and he's Messi's best friend. But for me, my favorite one was that Matias Rojas second goal. And of course, the first goal from Matias Rojas, which also came from an assist with Messi. Messi sees him that he's coming to the top of the box and assist him perfectly. And listen, Matias Rojas has a good foot, and he scored the best. I think he won the best goal on MLS, right? And it was against good competition because this weekend good goals were scored in MLS. But for me, it tells you that. For me, I just I couldn't believe it because I thought that Messi would be good in MLS, but I didn't think that he would ridicule teams like he has been doing in the past couple of months, especially after that match in Monterrey, like what he did in Kansas City and in all of the games has been incredible.
I don't know if you just gave him a compliment or not. I don't know. I don't. You were like,
Yeah,
"Yo,
it's a
I'm
compliment.
confused there. I'm confused."
It's a compliment, but that his level of play makes me think like
Listen,
he shouldn't be here.
the defenses are no match, right? Again, just we're not going to go over the same thing we talked about. Anyone who's followed MLS knows the rules. Rosters are built for the attack in MLS so that there's goals and there's oohs and ahs and moments. It's how the MLS executives draw up the league. They don't want 0-0 affairs. They don't want 1-0 affairs. They want goals. They want people to get excited over all the attacking play, which is exciting in the beautiful game in football, but the special nature of it is what really causes you to really get enamored with it. Nonetheless, you can still appreciate a good goal. And in this game, Messi took it by the scruff of the neck in that second half and shown. Because Inter Miami was losing at halftime. They were down
Yeah.
1-0 in this game. They didn't give up an early goal, which we will
And
talk about.
we have to give Tata his flowers because he made the correct change, bringing out David Ruiz and
And taking
bringing
out your
Matias
boy
Rojas.
David Ruiz, taking out your boy David Ruiz and
Well,
putting in
I was going. You
Matias
didn't let
Rojas.
me finish. We have to give him some flowers. I should have said because for me, Gressel should have come out. And I have also bad news for people because we were at training today and we saw a different kind of training, and we could see already the starting 11. And I have bad news for people hoping that Gressel will be on the bench. No, he will be starting this weekend again. So expect to see him there and expect Gressel to keep playing because Tata likes him.
I mean, we've
But
said that. Es el consentido
yeah,
de Tata Martino.
definitely.
But
But I think bringing Matias Rojas was the correct choice. He read the game correctly, and Matias Rojas showed us that he can be that player that we've talked about in this podcast a couple of times, and even this year. And
hold on. Wait. You're getting ahead. Let's
a
stick on
player
Messi.
that
Stay on
will
Messi,
make
Andrea.
Messi
Stay on Messi.
listen, yeah, a player that will keep Messi concentrated in just attack and not just looking for the ball, coming down and looking for the ball. And Matias Rojas is that player that Inter Miami were missing, even with Redondo, even with all the new players that
No, so
came.
you're getting too far. You're going too
They
far.
are not that type of player.
Stay
So
over here.
Matias
Stay
Rojas
over here.
was the
Stay over here.
player that Messi was missing in this Inter Miami.
Stay with here. We'll get to Matias Rojas in a moment. Stay with Messi. 1 goal and 5 assists. That is very video game like. Like you don't see that. I've never seen that. I don't know if you've ever seen that. I don't think you even see that at the park where you have one kid that is way more talented than everybody else. You just don't see that. Again, we know MLS defenses are not up to snuff when it comes to Messi's level. Not even close. But still, the way he toyed with the New York Red Bulls, I mean, I do think if we're analyzing the game and I don't want to say nitpicking, but we're being honest about what happened. I mean, I think the first 2 goals from Inter Miami to go up 2-1 and they happen in quick succession, I think that really took the air out of the Red Bulls. And then with each passing goal, the Red Bulls just kind of deflated and gave up and kind of practically gave up.
And we have to say also that Messi's goal appeared to be on offside. Matias Rojas was offside, so that goal shouldn't have counted. Messi's goal.
Well, I'd have to go back and look. I haven't done the homework on that. But nonetheless, Inter Miami continues its winning ways in league play and continues to stay atop the Eastern Conference. An incredible showing for Messi that won't soon be forgotten. He was named the MLS Player of the Week as a result, which, by the way, I mean, Suarez scored a hat trick in this game, and Rojas came off the bench and scored 2 very important goals. We will talk about both those players again in just a moment.
Other players in MLS score hat tricks also.
But Messi with 1 goal and 5 assists, I mean, I agree that he was the man of the match. I agree. Listen, I think Matias Rojas was decisive in providing the goals that he provided off the bench, but I think Messi was the man of the match. When you have a hand in 6 goals, again, that's very video game-like. Like in FIFA, which FIFA, I hate FIFA, by the way, anyone who's what's called EAFC now, whatever it's called. I hate that game. I hate that game because the only people that score are the striker, the attacking midfielder, maybe occasionally the winners. It's just the same people scoring over and over and over and over and over again. But that's what this game was. It was just Messi assisting, Suarez scoring a hat trick, Rojas scoring 2, and Messi.
Yeah, but Franco, I agree with that. Messi's thing was incredible, but Suarez's 3 goals are not of high caliber. They are not. And Messi's goals.
The scissor kick was okay.
Yeah, but they are not high caliber. They are not beautiful goals. Like Matias Rojas, both goals were
Matias Rojas' both goals were
those
fantastic.
Those were FIFA-like, but Suarez's goal were not. I'm
just talking about the mechanics.
They were
about the mechanics of the game. And then if you play FIFA EA, it's always the striker and the attacking midfielder that score the goals. And listen, do those players score the majority of goals maybe in a league? Sure, but there's usually other players that contribute. And when you play the video game EA, so I don't play it. I used to play Winning 11. Anyway, you don't get a variety. It's always the same people scoring 95% of the, which is a pain in the ass. Anyway, Endo in the comment section says, Buenas noches, Miami Futbol Radio. What to do, Franco and Axito? What's up, Endo? Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on this after hours episode. We're starting later than usual. Normally we start at 9. And see, there we go. Endo says, ¿Por qué tan de noche the stream? Well, because Andrea had other commitments. So rather than commit to 9 and then her potentially not making that, we said, let's just do it at 10. Makes sense. 10 o'clock for El Número 10, Messi, who scored a goal and got 5 assists. Anyway, before we move on from Messi here, because he's won what? He won the MLS Player of the Week. So I think it's
the month.
It's the third one Player of the Month. This is his 3rd time doing so, I think. But let's listen to here, 3rd time this season. Let's listen to Tata Martino talking about Messi's performance from this win, 6-2 victory over the New York Red Bulls.
Es decir, siempre digo lo mismo, es redundante hablar de él porque parece que siempre hace algo nuevo. Y bueno, si faltaba algo era esto, tener incidencia en los 6 goles que hace un equipo. Esto va a ser difícil volver a verlo, ¿no?
Javier.
That comment at the end, he raved about Messi's performance. Said, for those of you who don't speak English and don't understand, he said, Tata Martino says, it's redundant to talk about Messi because he always does something, that you don't expect, and that maybe this was the only thing that was missing, where he has a hand in all 5 goals, and something like this is going to be very hard to see again. I agree with that, Andrea. I don't think we will be seeing this. I don't know if ever, man. I don't know. Maybe ever's a long time.
Messi has had what they won against PSG with Neymar. La remontada against PSG.
MLS.
Well, in MLS. Then I specify because
Mike B is
Messi
not a
has
fan.
done a lot.
Mike B is not a fan of Tata Martino. He says, hashtag Tata out, most opportunistic coach in the history of the game. Suertudo y pelotudo. All right.
Listen, Tata Martino is not a liked coach. I've come to realize that fact. Not many people like him, and we were talking about that on the last podcast. That when he leaves a team, many people doesn't don't like it. So um, don't like him in Barcelona, in Argentina, in Mexico, and well, some Inter Miami fans were not happy with him. But listen, he has brought players that can make this team better, and let's see how it goes, because right now it's working for him, even though they got eliminated from the Champions Cup, which was their number one priority. Well, MLS is there, and if they have the responsibility now to win on MLS. So let's see how Tata does and manages this team with injuries and everything that happens to everyone, because that happens everywhere.
I knew we would spend probably the first third or so of this show on Messi. Before we wrap up, the plaudits, the flowers, las rosas for La Rosa Negra's captain. These are his season stats, Andrea. He has played in 8 games. He has started 7. He has 10 goals and 12 assists. Look at those numbers, man.
Those are not the real numbers, because they're the secondary assists.
Unless you're gonna sit there and start distinguishing which ones are secondary assists, which you'd have to literally go through the highlights and pick out which ones are secondary assists, which I haven't done and I'm not going to do as of right now.
I think 3 or 4 are secondary assists.
But we don't know, but those are his numbers right now, officially speaking, in MLS, and those numbers are very, very impressive. Look at those numbers. He is atop the stats, or atop the leaderboard, in both goals and assists. He's tied with Luis Suarez, 10 apiece. For goals, he's got 12 assists. He's 5 more than Cristian Arango from Real Salt Lake. I mean, Messi is playing light years ahead of most of his peers. He's living up to the billing, worth the price of admission when he does play. If you're an Inter Miami fan, you have to soak it all in. Enjoy it. It's not going to be forever. So enjoy it while you're seeing it, because it is a sight to behold. It is a sight to behold. That second half, yes, I agree with you that some of the assists weren't of like top quality, or, we've seen him deliver better assists in his time with Inter Miami alone. But still, nonetheless, to deliver 6 assists, I mean, 5 assists and get a goal, play a hand in all 6 goals. It's half a dozen goal contributions in one game. I mean, that deserves a round of applause. All right, Andrea, we will now talk about, because you were trying to get there before we were supposed to, we'll talk about Matias Rojas, who, like you said, came into this game at halftime for David Ruiz, a.k.a. your boy, and, well, Matias Rojas quickly made an impact and helped turn the tide of the game. Now, is it as simple as just saying, okay, Matias Rojas came into the game and Inter Miami won because of him? I mean, you could really base it down to that. You can really just pinpoint it to that. But I think if you analyze it a little deeper, I think what he brought was más fútbol. He gave the team more of
he gave Messi the freedom. He gave Messi freedom. Messi doesn't have to come down to midfield to give instructions to Gressel, to give instructions to David Ruiz or Kremaski or anyone, because Matias Rojas is a type of player that knows football, that has technical abilities above the average MLS player. And that showed, because once Matias Rojas got in, Messi got free. If you see the first assist for Matias' first goal, you could see Messi going on that por la banda and watch and have that freedom, not to worry to go back or to come and get the ball, to get it to Luis Suarez after. Matias Rojas frees that up for Messi. So it's really amazing. It's a partnership. Those 3 players, Matias Rojas, Luis Suarez, and Lionel Messi, it's going to be a trio of players, a partnership that is going to work very well in MLS.
I would disagree with you. But I would disagree
it's going
with you
to be better than what Robert Taylor has accomplished until now with Messi, which he has been a good player with Messi. But Matias Rojas brings more, because Matias Rojas really can rendir in that midfield and
so
doesn't have.
I swear I would disagree with you, Akisita, because I don't think it was a case of Rojas came in and Messi got freed up. I don't think that's what the case was. I think what Rojas brought to that midfield, because Inter Miami struggled in the first half by and large, was to be able to build up, play through the Red Bulls' intense high press. David Ruiz, not necessarily the most technical or cleanest player on the ball. Neither is Julian Gressel, right? Busquets is the one in the three in that midfield that you could say, okay, yeah, he's the one that can play in tight spots. Taking out David Ruiz,
Busquets, the first half was playing in the middle of the central defenders.
So he dropped deep to pick up the ball because of the high press.
When you bring a player like Matias Rojas, you free not only Messi, but you free also Busquets, because you have the ball more. You have the ball more. When Busquets, Messi can play freely, can give long passes, can go and do the play that they are accustomed to do, it's easier. It's going to be easier for Inter Miami to win and to score a lot of goals,
but the impact came immediate. The impact came immediate, right?
Yes.
Matias Rojas' first goal came in the 48th minute, 3 minutes after entering the field. And I think it's just because he has more football to his game. He's got more of a soccer technical abilities than David Ruiz and Julian Gressel. Then I think he brought an element that Inter Miami's midfield needed. They needed that in this game. He scores a golazo. That gets Inter Miami on level terms. And then from there, Inter Miami feels more comfortable and they're able to knock the ball around and start picking apart the New York Red Bulls. Where in the first half, because of the lack of overall technical abilities in that midfield, they could not do so. Skrilla here in the comment section says, we are lucky to have Rojas. He's not even a TAM player. Well, we'll see about that next year if he keeps this up.
He's a very good player. So it's a good get for Inter Miami.
Pablo Golazo says Andrea is correct.
Yeah, you can see Messi got free. Busquets didn't have to go into the middle and of defenders and try to play the ball all the way from the back.
Messi got free after the goal happened, right? Like the goal happens, Rojas scores un golazo from long distance, right? A blast from outside the 18. That's not Messi being wide open. That's Rojas being open and taking advantage of it because he has the technical abilities to do so.
Whereas if Messi was open to give the assist because la marca no se fue con Messi.
No, hold on.
La marca se fue con Rojas. Rojas remató con muchos jugadores.
You just said, Akisita, that none of the assists were wow for you. None of them were
No, I said that Luis Suarez. No. Let's roll back. I said the three Luis Suarez goals, assists, and goals were not beautiful. I said the two Matias Rojas assists were beautiful. My favorite one was the second
pass. I don't see like a wow pass on the. It's Rojas who does most of the work on that first goal. Messi gets the assist. He gets credit for it, but it was Rojas' blast from distance. Again, if you put David Ruiz or Julian Gressel in that situation, they have that opportunity to shoot. 9 times out of 10, they're not putting that in the back of the net. At least that's my opinion. When you put Matias Rojas in that situation, he scores because he has more football to him, more attacking qualities, more technical capabilities.
That's what you are giving me the reason. He is a different player. And for me, I'm not going to be surprised if we don't see Robert Taylor get more minutes.
Well, I agree with that. That's where we have to, that's the next point with Matias Rojas. Before we get to that talking point of his position and who comes out and all these things, let's listen to Matias Rojas talk about his goals, his first goals in MLS, a brace off the bench, and they proved very, very important for Inter Miami in this victory.
Bueno, contento. Creo que el tope máximo de la felicidad está ahí en el jugador de fútbol, más en los atacantes. Es un momento espectacular, más acá en casa. Entonces, solamente disfrutar y seguir trabajando.
So he just said, as an attacking player, that's the pinnacle to score goals. And he said it was even more special to do so at home. So he came away pleased with that brace off the bench. Un doblete for el Paraguayo. Now, like you mentioned, Andrea, you always try to jump ahead of me here. You're quick with it. You're sharp. Even though you've been out for a couple of weeks, you're sharp. You're ready. Match sharp. Matias Rojas scores 2 goals. We clearly see that he's got technical abilities. Clearly, he fits the mold of what this team's trying to do: be possession-based, be attack-minded, play football, keep the ball on the ground, clean foot, etc., etc., etc. Be a protagonist, proponer, right? He fits that mold. But where does he fit in the starting lineup? Right now, let's say short term, he still comes off the bench for now because He's
He's
maybe
not
not
100%.
100% fit.
Physically.
Not 90 right, not 90 minutes ready. But let's say in a few weeks he gets there.
I think we could see him this week.
Well, who comes out though? Who comes out? Is it going to be David Ruiz? Because right now, short term, right, there's injuries, and maybe long term, there's other injuries. So we're playing a little bit of a.
I think right now David
game.
would come out.
David
would
comes
come
out. Okay.
Yes.
Even though I think
right now
you
David
think that Julian Gressel should come out.
Yeah, I think Julian Gressel. For me, David helps Busquets a little bit more than what Julian Gressel does. So for me, when you have a player like Matias Rojas that adds to your attack, then your other midfielder, if you're gonna play with a line of 3 midfielders, then your other midfielder should help Busquets a little bit more, being more defensive. So that's what I don't like, that he keeps Gressel and he benches David, or it could be any other of the guys, Benjamin Kremaski, it could be Yannick Bright, any one of those guys. And you have that. Once Federico Redondo returns, he's going to take that place, either from Julian Gressel, either from David Ruiz, or whoever he's playing. When he comes back, he's going to get
that. That's the question. Let's live in an ideal world where everyone who's not on a season-ending injury, so take Facundo Farias out of this, everyone who's not on a season-ending injury is available in a month or two's time. Right? Let's say July, because Copa America is coming and people are going to be gone. Well, let's say in July, everyone's healthy. Diego Gomez is back. Benjamin Kremaski recently returned to the action. Let's say everyone's back in July. Who is in that midfield? Let's say they stay 4-3-3, right? It's going to be Busquets. Redondo's going to be back in there.
And Redondo.
And Diego Gomez. So then you've got
up Matias Rojas, Messi, and Suarez.
I agree. So that means Robert Taylor comes out of that line. And I know there's a lot of love for Robert Taylor. And look, there's no denying, Andrea, that last year he was Messi's sidekick, right? Like he scored the goals and helped and made an impact. But again, and I've said this before, we've said this before, I don't think that he necessarily fits the mold of what Inter Miami wants to do. Yes, can he score goals? Can he make an impact? Is he a vertical winger that can make things happen on the dribble and score some golazos? Yes. And why wouldn't anybody want that? Of course. But in terms of the buildup and the characteristics, his player profile, I think Matias Rojas is more of a player that Inter Miami is looking for. And that's something that Tata Martino talked about post-game on Saturday. He talked about figuring out what the best position for Matias Rojas is going forward. Is it in that midfield as the el interior por la izquierda, the left center midfielder, or he doesn't say it directly, is it going to be better him playing on the wing, which he did later on in the second half when the substitution started getting made. Again, I think longer term, like you said, I think Redondo starts in that midfield with Diego Gomez and Busquets, and I think Rojas will go out on the wing. But let's listen to Tata.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Let's listen to Tata, and then you can piggyback.
Matías es un jugador que tiene mucha calidad, es un futbolista que tiene una pierna zurda que la verdad que es envidiable, y lo que nosotros buscamos es llevarlo de a poco, ¿no? Él venía de varios meses sin jugar, entendíamos que no era oportuno ponerlo desde el inicio. Bueno, lo que hicimos fue llevarlo de esa manera. Más allá de eso, en cada uno de los entrenamientos ellos ya manifestaban entendimiento, saber encontrarse. Creo que hoy vimos una versión en 45 minutos muy buena de Matías y esperamos que esto continúe de la misma manera. Y obviamente después lo que tenemos que ir encontrándole es si por ejemplo, de hoy de interior izquierdo es el mejor lugar para que él esté dentro del equipo, ¿no? Pero fundamentalmente no apurarnos con todas las expectativas que él ya generaba con su firma, y ahora seguramente las expectativas que generará a partir del juego de hoy, ¿no?
Andrea, so piggybacking off that, go ahead. I know you had a lot to say there with regards to Matias Rojas.
Yeah, I think I agree with Tata because he basically says that he can play in that left side he got in this game, but he can also play other places, and that we have to take him slow because he just got here. But it's obvious that people are gonna be excited because of what they saw. But talking about what we were saying before listening to Tata, is that even though Robert Taylor seems to be always missing out of possibilities, something happens. And we're talking about Diego Gomez and Redondo being the starting guys once they are fit. But the problem is that they are players in Diego and Federico Redondo that maybe will not live for Copa America, but will live for the Olympic Games. So Inter Miami is going to be missing them for at least a month for the Olympic Games. And that opens the door for players like Robert Taylor, players for like Kremaski and David Ruiz to keep getting minutes and to keep, even though they will not be the starting team once everyone is ready or everyone is available, but they could get minutes in that moment. And Robert Taylor would be benefited if Tata keeps playing Matias Rojas in midfield.
Question for
I don't
you.
think
Question
he
for you.
will do it, but Robert Taylor could benefit from that.
Question
And also,
for you.
Matias, let's remember that Matias is also going to play Copa America.
So we both just said what we think is going to happen, right? And we think ultimately is going to be based on what Tata will want to do. He'll go with Rojas on the wing and Diego Gomez and Redondo back in the midfield once they're healthy and everyone's available. Now let's say it's October. Let's say it's playoff time. Everyone's available again, aside from season-ending injuries. What would you do? Rojas on the wing or Rojas in the midfield? Because you could put Diego Gomez on the wing. Diego Gomez has played on the wing. He scored some goals on the wing. He did it against.
No, I will put Matias Rojas.
Rojas. I really liked what I saw from him in that midfield, though. I really liked, and I know that Redondo and Gomez have shown well there next to Busquets, but I think he gives you a little more football. And I think, yes, maybe on the defensive side you take a hit, but that's not Inter Miami's no están proponiendo eso. Their plan is to attack.
Listen, when Messi is not available, Matias would be that player to replace Messi. And that could replace Messi in a good manner, because we have seen Tata try to replace Messi and not being successful. The problem is that Matias is going to miss the same games as Messi. At least the first 3 games for Copa America, he's going to be out because he's also in his national team. But the thing with Matias Rojas is that they got a good player that can play in multiple places in the field and perform. And that's the difference between him and Robert Taylor, because Robert Taylor, we have seen him play in a lot of positions in this Inter Miami in all the years that he's been here. He's the record holder for appearances for this team right now. And we've seen him play in a lot of positions, but in some he was good, in some he was bad, and in some he performed, and in some he didn't perform. When he played in midfield, Robert Taylor was not good enough to be a midfielder. So I think that's the advantage that Matias Rojas has, that he can play there and he can play on the wing and he can play replacing Messi. He can play anywhere on the midfielder and the midfield or in attack. So that's the advantage that Matias has.
On the wings. I don't know about yeah. So Skrilla says, I don't think Taylor is going to be back next year. He only has this year left on his contract. I agree with that. I think Robert Taylor's days with Inter Miami are pretty much
Jose asked him a couple of weeks ago about his contract, and he said that he was concentrating this year. Like, I don't think there's negotiations for.
He said he wanted to be back, right? Didn't he say?
Yeah, he said he wanted to be back. Yeah, but I think Robert Taylor is a player that is going to get a lot of offers. He can be good for MLS, for other MLS teams that play attacking football. I think Robert Taylor could be a valuable asset.
I think on teams that want to be more direct, Robert Taylor is perfect. But Inter Miami doesn't necessarily want to be direct. Inter Miami wants to possess or want to pick you apart with passing sequences. They want to carve you open. Right. It's not necessarily about bombing forward and getting there as quickly as possible. That's not necessarily Inter Miami's way. And look, it's good to have pieces that can give you a different dynamic for sure. But in MLS with the salary cap and the budget and everything, you have to make tough decisions. I wouldn't be surprised if
Robert is not a player that Tata likes 100%.
Right. So Robert Taylor has gone in and out of that lineup. It's like he's played there when yes, he scored some goals, but when there's no other options. Like Facundo Farias was going to be ahead of him this year, right? By all.
Everything. Exactly. 100%. So I think Robert Taylor can look for any other team in MLS. Robert Taylor would be a good asset to have. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't look as good in Inter Miami, in his future with Inter Miami, but I think he's a good player that can have a future in the league.
Yeah. Tony asks, Do you think the club is going to hold on to Gomez during the summer transfer?
He's
window?
going to one or the other competition.
So
He's going.
initially, I mean, I think the question is like in terms of transferring him. Initially, I would have said no. I think I said no a few weeks ago. I think that's if I'm understanding the question correctly. I think I would have said no a few weeks ago. I think I did say no. But now with the injury, I think
I don't think
he's
he's
more
leaving.
likely to stay because by the time he gets healthy, then you got to get him back into game shape, playing minutes. And
unless he's the MVP for Paraguay in the Olympics and they make it to the final like they did in
but then someone's gonna have to buy him. Someone's gonna have to buy him real quick because like the transfer window ends in late August, early September. So I think because of the injury and him working his way back and then partaking in the Olympics, I think it's going to be tough to see a team bet on him coming back from an injury and being ready to just buy him outright. Otherwise, I would have said yes. I think he'll stick through the rest of the year, and then we'll see what happens come wintertime. I think the injury changed the trajectory of how his season was going to go, at least in my opinion. I know Jose, I think, had a different opinion about when Diego Gomez might leave. All right. We've talked about Lionel Messi. We talked about Matias Rojas. Inter Miami is continuing to win. After their CONCACAF Champions Cup disappointment, they have continued to find a way in league play. They are atop the Eastern Conference standings. They're rolling. They're cruising, looking every bit as dominant as most people would.
Let me say something, Franco, before you finish. I just wanted to say that I was right when I said Tata Martino used the MLS rules as an excuse because for him, unfortunately, the two teams that he said were the exceptions are in the final. So I guess it was an excuse, right? Pachuca and Columbus Crew went to the final, and he said that they didn't have possibilities, blah, 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 blah. Excuses.
Anyway, moving on, because we talked about that. Moving on. Inter Miami, again, cruising collectively. They're winning games by lopsided fashion, or they're scoring a lot of goals, at least in a lot of these games. Like I said this past weekend when I asked Luis Suarez a question, ganaron, gustaron, golearon. So they won big, and they won playing in impressive fashion. So Inter Miami is taking care of business in league play, as many people had predicted early on in preseason predictions. Now, it's not all positive in Inter Miami land because there's this one little concerning trend that we have seen in this last stretch of games. And that's that Inter Miami has conceded early in 3 of the 4 games. This game against the New York Red Bulls was the first one in this recent stretch that they did not concede early, and they still gave up the opener. They still fell behind initially. But lately, they've been giving up early goals, very early goals. Against the New England Revolution, they gave up a goal in the first minute. So they're struggling in that regard. Andrea, Tata Martino says he's analyzed it. They're working on it, trying to fine-tune it. Just from your opinion, just from your analysis, what do you chalk up these early goals to? Is it just bad luck? Is it a lack of concentration? Is
lack of chemistry? Lack of chemistry because, listen, Jordi Alba is injured. Franco Neri came back from his injury, a new player. Marcelo Weigand is a new player. He just got to the team, new player. Doesn't know Toto Avilés and Nicolas Freire or even Christoph very well. So for me, and also you don't see a relationship there with Drake Callender, and Tata Martino wants to come out playing with defenders and giving the ball to the goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper coming back and starting play. So I think that's an adjustment for a lot of these players, and they don't know each other. For me, I think it's that they have to build chemistry, they have to build a relationship, and it doesn't help that also that they have to be changing, because when Jordi comes in, Franco is going to go back to the bench, even though I think he does a better job defending than what Jordi Alba does, but doesn't do as good as Jordi Alba in attack, because Jordi Alba obviously knows Messi better. And Marcelo Weigand, for me, has not been an upgrade until this moment to what Inter Miami had with Yedlin, and they are struggling to build that chemistry. So for me, that's the thing. I think the more games they played, the back line, the 4 that are going to be the starting ones, it's going to be better. But for example, this weekend, we're not going to see Avilés anymore, and Christoph will come in as we saw today in training, I could tell you we saw Drake Callender, Christoph Freire, Weigand, Negri, Busquets, Gressel, and Matias Rojas playing in midfield. Those were the guys that we could see. And Messi, Jordi Alba, Robert Taylor, Luis Suarez were practicing apart on another side of the field. But those guys, those 8 guys with Calendar are going to be the starting lineup. And you see another change in defense. So I don't think they have built that relationship a lot. More Nicolas Freire with Avilés because they have played more. But now Freire will have to play with Christoph, who doesn't speak Spanish, who
he speaks a little bit, un poquito. He told us un poquito the other day.
Yeah, a little bit. But then you see Christoph, who's gonna have to play with Weigand. They haven't played a lot. So for me, that's the problem with Inter Miami, and we can see this defense be better once they play more games consistently.
What I think, if I'm analyzing what's happened in these last stretch of games, I think, listen, it's clear what Inter Miami wants to do. They want to possess the ball. They want to build up. They're not like they'll clear the ball and clear lines if they have to, but that's not their preferred option, right? They want to pass through Busquets and get through the midfield and progress the ball through each line with the ball on the ground. And other teams know that, right? So because of that, other teams are high pressing. Other teams are forcing Inter Miami into mistakes, which, like you said, they're taking into consideration the lack of overall chemistry and the fact that there's injuries, right? Because Busquets gets shadowed all the time, right? And Federico Redondo helped in that regard because it gave Inter Miami another piece in that midfield that could help build up if Busquets was not available as a passing option. Without Redondo and with Busquets shadowed, there's nobody really in that midfield that does a good job of progressing the ball forward. And I think with that comes confusion as to what to do with that backline. Like, do they pass it to Busquets? Do they pass it to Ruiz? Do they pass it to Gressel? And then that leads to some indecision. That leads to some turnovers. And then that leads to some chances that are coming back quickly the other way. I mean, other teams know, be intense from the start.
And maybe losing a lot of balls.
But if you're intense from the start, right, you know that Inter Miami maybe, like before the game settles, you might be able to force them into a turnover. And then that can lead to a chance. And it has led to some goals. Again, Inter Miami's given up, fallen behind in all 4 of their most recent games, but they've found ways to get back into it. However, while everything's positive, it's still a concerning trend and something that does need to be corrected and addressed. And this is something that we've heard not only from Tata, although Tata's a little less, like it sounds to me like Tata wants to address it, but he's not that concerned about it because of how the team responds and the attacking power that it has. But some players, some of the more veteran players, when asked about positive questions about the team's performance, el rendimiento del equipo, they've talked about needing to improve in that regard. We'll start with Luis Suarez, and then we'll go to Sergio Busquets. These are comments from recent weeks. Suarez this past weekend after the victory over the
Bueno, el resultado marca un poco la dinámica del partido, pero obviamente que el Inter que queremos es un Inter que empiece los partidos más intensos de la forma que lo está empezando. Que no cometamos tantos errores como los que cometemos y tenemos que ser autocríticos en ese sentido porque va a haber un momento, algún partido que no vamos a poder dar vuelta al resultado. En esta situación estamos teniendo un poco de suerte, de jerarquía, de personalidad para ir a dar vuelta al partido, pero van a haber momentos que no va a ser posible y bueno, y ahí es donde tenemos que cambiar ese chip desde el comienzo de los partidos.
Before I ask you that question, listen to Busquets as well. So this was in the match against Nashville that they beat Nashville a few weeks ago. This was the first game I think that we missed. Yeah, Inter Miami beats Nashville on April 20th, 3-1. Busquets scored in that game, his first goal for Inter Miami, and he celebrated it with the ball under his jersey to commemorate that he's going to have another kid. But this is what Busquets said. Very similar vein about those early goals Inter Miami's conceding.
El último de los 4 que marcó.
Sí, ya tocaba, ¿no? Pero bueno, no estoy muy acostumbrado y lo importante es el equipo, es el triunfo. Hoy he podido hacerlo, pero bueno, al final hay que quedarse con las cosas bien que hace el equipo, con las que no hace tan bien, que tenemos que mejorar. Como tú dices, son muchos partidos empezando con el marcador en contra y eso es una losa, ¿no? Que hay partidos que puede que sea definitivo, esta vez no lo ha sido, y aprender de eso.
All right,
basically both said the same thing, but for me the most interesting was Suarez's word because he said ganamos por suerte, a veces por suerte o a veces por jerarquía. So what that means is sometimes we win these matches that we begin losing because of luck and because of hierarchy, meaning
I don't know if
they have
that doesn't translate.
experience.
I think the best. I've always looked at
Experience or
parentheses and there parentheses. Sorry, is jerarquía is not a word that I've like found a perfect translation for in English when I'm trying to translate the football term. The best term that I can come up with is know-how. Like they know how to manage these situations, right? Because it's experience, right? No, but no es experiencia.
Yeah, he means
Jerarquía
like
is
that
like
they
know-how.
have
They know how to manage
themselves. Exactly. Yeah, it's because of their experience, as you say. So for me, that's interesting because for me that means that Luis Suarez knows that there are teams in this league, not much, let's say not much, but there are teams in this league that for if they make those mistakes against those teams, they can pay, and it's not going to be enough to have Messi and have him because they could be tired, they could be injured, etc., etc. So for me, it says a lot about their professionalism, that they are thinking about that, even though people around the league and around the world sees them as favorites against everyone. They know that there are teams in this league that could make them suffer if they don't fix those problems, because listen, Monterrey showed how you can make suffer how you can make Inter Miami suffer. So
Andrea,
they are
Monterrey's
teams
at
in this
another level. Monterrey's at another
yeah,
level.
but there are teams in this league that can one or two at the beginning of the year. I remember analyzing. We were thinking about Orlando, Nashville, teams that have been disappointments on this far in the seasons. But there are other teams that, like Columbus or Cincinnati, LAFC, three teams, maximum four or five. The Red Bulls doesn't count anymore because Red Bulls were one of the teams that defeated Inter Miami, but they got beaten at home.
Los aplastaron.
Yes,
They got steamrolled.
they got beaten down. So I think Luis, it says a lot about their professionalism, and especially because I know that they are bothered of how Inter Miami looked in that match against Monterrey. So
but the
it's
fact that they say that to me,
skills.
right?
Yeah.
They could pull the MLS stunt, like everything's fine, whatever. We came back, but they harp on that, and the reason why I think they harp on that, for analyzing the comments and who they're coming from, is because they played at the highest levels, and they know por su jerarquía, por su know-how. And over here in the comment section says, Franco, could you say expertise?
Yeah, expertise.
I like know-how better. It's you know that these things can happen. You know how to manage situations because of your experience. It's something you've been through. It's like I don't want to say knowledge, but I just think know-how is the best thing I can come up with. If someone has a better recommendation in the comment section, or someone who listens to this pod after the fact and wants to send it on Twitter, please do so, because I always try to find a good word for Spanish to English translations. I think the terms in Spanish are much more defined and clear and paint a better picture, in my opinion. So I think, I try to find words to try to translate them to English, because in English, I don't think that there's as defined words. But anybody if there's anybody who has a recommendation and there's a really good one, please send it my way, and I will pick up on it.
It's a testament on their professionalism, as I was saying, because you see if you ask young players at that moment, they will say, oh, it's good because we won. But
the very MLS way would be to sweep it under the rug. To sweep it under the rug.
Now you get Busquets and you get Luis Suarez, who have played well. Busquets is a world champion, and Luis Suarez went to a semifinals in a World Cup, won Champions League, was the best I've seen in the last 10 years when he was in Liverpool. And I really like to see those guys like that, because it shows you that they are true professionals, and that's gonna help the young players on the team to grow.
I've got the comment section. I've got the comment section here trying to figure out the word.
Intuition. No, it's not intuition, because intuition is like
Endo says capability.
We were talking about capability. It's like jerarquía. It's like, I don't know. When you speak know-how, it's like when you speak of jerarquía in players, it's not every player that has jerarquía, as we say in Spanish. Because
all right. So we're gonna get sidetracked here. But to have jerarquía, you have to be experienced, right?
Exactly.
It's not necessarily just experience.
Yeah.
You have to be experienced to have jerarquía. You can't be like a rookie that says, or a second-year player or un joven, and you have jerarquía. No one's gonna say that. Like, You even hear it for teams. Ese equipo, like Real Madrid, Andreas, Real Madrid, everyone always says es un equipo que tiene jerarquía. They just have that know-how to, even if they're up against it in a, UEFA Champions League semifinals, they still find a way to always believe that they can do it. It's I think know-how is just the best thing I come up with for now. But again, any recommendations, keep sending them our way, and I'll be happy to adopt a better word if there is one, for sure, absolutely. But yes, just going back to the Suarez and Busquets comments, the fact that they pinpoint that and say, look, and they both kind of allude to it, like, hey, in these games we've been able to come back, but in a decisive game we might not be able to. In another game that's important, it's very important, that's do or die.
And it has happened to them in the final of the U.S. Open Cup against Monterrey and against a couple of teams. But when you have, like you say, elimination games, they have not done well, except for Leagues Cup, right? So it's important for this team to be ready, because come the playoffs, as we say in MLS, the season doesn't matter, because you could be ninth and you could go and win the league. Because and you can be the first place and then lose in the first or second round with that ridiculous playoff scenario that MLS have right now, right? So it's important for Inter Miami to fix that, because in elimination games, in games that they are playing for something, we don't have good experience with the US Open Cup last year and with Monterrey this year. So it's something they need to fix, and I'm glad to hear the most experienced players talk about it.
It's good to hear. It's good to hear, for sure.
And also, I think it's what Tata asked, because Tata, if you saw this game against the Red Bulls and what we were talking about, Busquets having to come to get in between the defenders, that's because Tata knows that New York could hurt them and tries to help the defense. So for me, I don't think, as I told you, I don't think Busquets is at that high level that like he was on Barcelona. He's good because he gives balls to Messi, and that's because of memory, but he loses a lot of balls also. So him being the center of the midfielder and being that connection with defenders, for me, he hasn't
been as good as he was last year. However, it's because teams are game planning for him. Teams are game planning for him. Teams are literally shadowing him to prevent him from doing what he can do. Now, the only way he can continue to do what he does is if other players around him pick it up and force other teams to take attention away from him. So I agree that he's not playing up to the same level as last year, but I think a big part of that is that opposing teams know Inter Miami's game plan, the blueprint. Try to limit the supply from Busquets forward, and you have a better chance of winning.
But Tata doesn't help to that, because when you put him in between the defenders, you're not helping him.
Well, he's dropped. I mean, I think Tata's dropping him so that he can pick up the ball in areas where he has more space. Where, look, opposing teams, yes, they're going to shadow Busquets, right? They're going to try to prevent him from building through or building up. But if he drops deep, right, our opposing team's going to keep sending players in. Then their shape and their organization gets unbalanced, right? If they have a player following Busquets all the way.
For example, that first half against New York, you saw Forsberg, you saw a lot of New York City in New York Red Bulls, players toying with them. It's with Busquets and with Gressel especially. So it's something that Inter Miami has to get better. But let's read Mikey V's comments. I agree with him.
We have the worst league format of the world. Oof, que desastre. Okay,
yes.
We're 16 minutes away from hitting our limit. So
it's the worst. That playoff format is the worst thing I've seen in my life.
Blue card to Akisita, because we have 16 minutes and we still have to talk about a couple more things. I would love to talk about the format, but we have so much to catch up on from 3 weeks of being absent that we can't. But we will get back to that at some point. Blue card for Akisita, according to Tank721, our resident referee in the comments section, always handing out the cards. Nay Forever says Messi GOAT. All right, Andrea, we will switch gears to Tank721 says 1 more hour. Let's fucking go.
I'm missing the best team in the world in this moment, because we're recording this podcast. I'm missing the best team in the world.
This is why you're wearing blue. This is why you're wearing blue.
Yes, Motagua is playing right now.
All right, very quickly. All right, Inter Miami plays Well, actually, before we do that, because I'm an all-encompassing completist asshole that I have to cover these 3 games. I just have to. Otherwise, I'm just going to be bothered. These were the 3 games that we missed. Inter Miami beat Nashville FC 3-1 at Nashville SC, 3-1 at home on April 20th. On April 27th, they went to the New England Revolution at Gillette Stadium, a packed house in the NFL-sized venue, and Inter Miami won 4-1. And then, of course, like we just mentioned, Inter Miami beat the New York Red Bulls 6-2. Messi scored a brace.
Revolution is a shame of a team.
Well, Messi scored 2 goals in that win against the Revolution, which Inter Miami fell behind in the first minute, and then they came back and rallied to a lopsided victory. In that previous game against Nashville SC at home, Franco Negri scored an own goal in the 2nd minute, and then Messi scored another brace. Sergio Busquets, as I mentioned before, scored his first goal for Inter Miami, his first MLS goal, and
that was the game that Diego Gomez got injured.
That's the game that Diego Gomez got injured, which is a big blow for Inter Miami. But they have pieces there. Matias Rojas was officially signed. He's come in. So while it is a blow for Inter Miami, I mean, they're still rolling there. They're, again, top of the Eastern Conference and scoring a ton of goals. And what's the word I'm looking for? Entertaining, man. They're entertaining. Es un equipo entretenido. They play a nice brand of soccer. This is the Inter Miami that we all thought we would see back in 2020. Like the one that everyone had kind of dreamed of. Like Inter Miami, the South American focused team that goes with the ball on the ground, et cetera, et cetera. Finally seeing that version. You know, they say freedom to dream. Bueno, ahí está. Freedom to dream. We finally are seeing the reality. Again, enjoy it because it's not going to last forever. At some point, when pieces start to move, I don't think they're going to maintain this high level. Not saying this year, but in the years to come. So enjoy it while you have it because it's going to be very tough to sustain this level. All right. Inter Miami plays this weekend, Andrea. Continuing in league play, trying to win. They will be, they'll be on the, I thought they were at home. I don't think at home. No, they're on the road.
No, they are Montreal.
They're on the road. What I'm talking about. Because I'm actually going, I'm going away for the weekend. I can't say where I'm going, but I'm going away for the weekend. They're playing away. Sorry, I don't know why I got confused there. They play in Canada against CF Montreal.
Montreal is one of the 2 teams that has beaten Inter Miami this season.
But
they are the only team that has beaten them at home.
Andrea, but it wasn't
with
Inter Miami's. It wasn't Inter Miami's strongest lineup. They were getting ready for CONCACAF Champions Cup, and they rotated.
Yeah, but Messi played. I'm just saying.
Montreal's in 11th place in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah,
I expect Inter Miami to win. I don't expect them to lose. Maybe they tie. Maybe by Montreal.
Joseph Martinez is also injured for CF Montreal. He's missing Copa America.
I don't see Inter Miami losing. Now, you mentioned a key point. Thomas Aviles is out due to yellow card accumulation. I think he's a bit lucky he did not get a red card for that challenge because when you see it back on slow motion and in replay, it is
that's one thing. Thomas Aviles is a I don't want to say dirty player because that sounds really harsh, but that's literally the translation.
Careless.
Careless would be a better translation for what I want to say because he goes too strong, and this is not the first time he has se ha salvado de la roja.
I want Andrea to say this.
We are top of the league. Say we're top of the league.
Andrea, say it because you're the one with a lot of criticism in preseason. Your preseason predictions.
Yes, and I stand by them. They were eliminated in the Champions League.
Endo says he wants you to say it, Andrea. Say Inter Miami is top of the league.
Yes, I said it. Inter Miami is top of the league.
All right, say this because Mike V says, ¿Quién es mote y agua?
¿Quién es mote y agua?
Motagua. Come on, Andrea.
Of course, I know.
Yellow card for Mike V, according to Tank 17. Mike V says, Aviles es un machetero. So, yes.
Yeah, Aviles is a machetero. Aviles es un
got lucky, man. I'm surprised that, maybe we see a retroactive suspension for another game from MLS because
listen, let me tell you something. Also, you can see the refs favoring Inter Miami because they didn't even check Messi's goal for an offside when it was an offside.
Maybe the MLS disciplinary committee decides to suspend him one more game.
He should have been suspended then already because they cannot do it after a week. They have to do it the week that he's suspended. But Thomas Aviles that is something that he has to fix because he's going to win Inter Miami. with a stricter referee, he would have gotten a red card in that play.
This
Definitely.
is a new commenter, I think. Isaiah
Messi
Vicenteco.
la cabra.
Messi la goat. La goat. I thought it was saying Messi LA, but no, Messi la cabra, Messi the goat. All right. Thank you for joining us. The first time commenter there, Isaiah. Andrea, so Sergio Christoph will step in. You touched on the lineup. Sergio Christoph will step in for Thomas Aviles. Jordi Alba was back in the mix today. Do we expect him to start, or will he be on the bench for this one, do you think?
I think according to what we saw today, he would be on the bench, but we will have to wait and see on training on Friday. Today, Franco Neri took his place, training with the stars. As I told you, they were Drake, Nicolas Freire, Sergi Christoph, Weigand, and Franco Neri on the left side. Then in the midfield, it was Busquets, Gressel, and Matias Rojas playing against a team of other players that included Campana, David Ruiz.
So up top, who do you expect? Messi, Suarez, and
Robert Taylor.
Robert Taylor. Okay. Taylor. It'll be the same lineup as last week, with the only change being Matias Rojas steps in for David Ruiz. That's what you expect the starting lineup to be.
Yeah, according to what we saw today, that is what I would expect.
That's what it's shaping up.
Yeah, that's what is shaping up, and that could be Inter Miami's starting 11 from now on until all injured players become available again, barring any injury, right? I don't think we're gonna see Gressel come off for Kremaski or David Ruiz to be starting, but I think he's going to start to be that first change in the second half if Inter Miami need it. It's just we're gonna talk to Gressel on Friday, so if you guys are interested in knowing more from Gressel, I know you guys listen to.
Well, it's time for us to ask him some questions that are a little more critical of his level of play. Because listen, I mean, if you look at numbers, he's not doing terrible, but from the sheer funcionamiento, like the functioning of the team, it's clear that it's still something there. Well, I'm curious first to ask Tata too what he thinks of what he's bringing to the table, to hear what Tata really rates in him. Or what's he's rating in him to continue to trot him out there in the starting lineup. But I think it's also time for us to ask questions to Julian Gressel. Andrea,
also,
very quickly, the Inter Miami win, lose, or draw this weekend at Montreal. Do they keep it going with another victory, or do they have
yes, they win.
They win.
They win.
I don't expect them to lose. Maybe a draw if Montreal has a great day and Inter Miami has an off day.
Montreal is or was, I don't know if the game ended already, but they were playing for the Canadian Championship right now. Tonight. So they had a game in the middle of the week. So we'll have to wait and see how they are. And against Inter Miami, if you get a tired team, you're going to pay for it. So it's going to be interesting to see because they beat them, and Montreal has a lot of players who have an Inter Miami past. As I said, Joseph is not playing because he's injured, but you have Duke and Ariel. And Ariel had a nice game that game that Montreal won here in Fort Lauderdale. So it's gonna be interesting to see. The legs is always vigente, and it's going to be interesting. But I don't see Montreal coming up with the 3 points. I could see a tie because it's their stadium, the trip. What if Messi is cold in Canada or whatever, and that could be a factor.
Tank 721 says, just had some pizza. Franco, do you want a couple slices? Actually, I do. I would love some pizza. Oh, some Pizza Hut stuffed crust with mushrooms. Man, I'd love it. I would absolutely love some of that. Please deliver it my way. I will send you my address via DM. Just kidding. All right. Very quickly. So I expect Inter Miami to win. Could maybe see a draw because it could be one of those games where you overlook the opponent a little bit. Whatever. I think Inter Miami keeps it going, though. I just don't see them winning. Mr. Spider Pig with a prediction. 5-1 Miami. It could be another blowout. Could be another big win for Miami. They just have to make sure not to overlook the opponent. If they do that, they'll take care of business because they are much more talented than Montreal. Doesn't matter if they're on the road or not. Yeah. And with the form that they're in, expect them to continue to roll. All right, very quickly, Andrea, the last thing we are going to talk about on this one is some footage I captured after the win against Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. Now, this video went viral on YouTube. I think we're almost at like 400,000 views. And it's because it's a rare sight at Lionel Messi up close and personal. He stopped by the mix zone not to make any post-game comments, but to say hello to some Argentine colleagues that he's known for a long, long time. So very quickly, we'll look at the clip, and then we can talk about what our thoughts are on it, because I know that I'm sure you have plenty to say.
Sí, tengo a Luis el lunes para grabar. ¿Todo bien, Leo? Tranquilo, no te vamos a no pasa nada. Venimos a verte.
Toda la semana, perdón, de acá.
Ahí está. Pero feliz de verte y de que cómo salió. Espectacular. Empezamos, está todo recargado y dijimos, no subamos
subí una
nada.
foto y Andy me dice, me parece que la tengo que borrar. Al principio
Ya cero en un minuto, pero no, bien. Perfecto, ¿cómo estás? Te sentí bien, está muy bien. Ah, pero está muy bien, muy bien. Y ahora, aparte fue uno por semana, ahora más espectacular. Bueno, en la semana vemos, ¿no? Ah, bien, ¿están por acá? ¿Se quedan? No, sí, estamos bien, Bueno, a ver,
A nice
Ya no
little
jugamos
insight.
entre semana.
A nice little insight into Messi behind the scenes. Listen, if you guys
I
want to
wish
see
he
more of
would
that,
speak to media. I mean,
hold on,
listen,
Andrea, hold on.
he
This is my
has won.
perfect. This is
You
my perfect
told
time.
me to.
Wait, hold on. It's my perfect time to plug it. This is my first time to plug it. If you guys haven't already, follow, share, subscribe on the YouTube channel. It's free for you guys, and you will get insight like that you're probably not going to get anywhere else. And it helps us out tremendously. So if you don't already, give us a like, give us a comment, a share, and more importantly, a subscribe. Like it's remarkable, the behind the scenes stuff that we can see, and I absolutely love sharing any piece of content that I can share with you guys with regards to Messi or whoever. But obviously Messi is the focal point. Clearly 400,000 views on that clip of him just standing there and talking and saying, anyway.
No jugamos
Andrea,
entre semana.
go ahead. Now the floor is yours. Say what you want to say.
For me, listen, as a media member, it's very frustrating to see Messi not speaking to media and come and say hi to Argentine media when we have been there this almost whole year that he has spent here, and he hasn't never said hi to us. Not even a hi. Let's tell people how it is. He hasn't said hi. Buenos días, buenas tardes, buenas noches a nosotros.
He waves. He does that, like, wave from afar.
So for me, it's unfortunate because, listen, he's the best player in the league. He has won Player of the Month. I don't know for how many months, Player of the Week, how many weeks. He's going to break every record available in MLS. He's going to break everything. And people don't get to hear from him. So obviously, these videos are important. And it was important that you got it because people can see Messi talking. And listen, he doesn't even speak to Apple TV, to anyone, and he doesn't need to. But it's just
let's be honest. Like, he has done some post-game interviews for Apple TV. Now Apple TV pays Apple. I think he's done a couple. Since he's arrived.
One.
I think he's done more than one. I think he's done at least two.
Cruz Azul and one.
So I think he's done a couple. I think he's done at least a couple. Nonetheless, Apple TV helps pay a portion of his salary, so there's connections there. Those three media members that he spoke to, again, are Argentine colleagues that he's known for a long time. He has, a connection with them. There's a trust there. And if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to pat myself on the back here a little bit, while also shaming you and dragging you, Andrea. Mi olfato de periodista, my nose as a journalist, told me stay in this mix zone, because if those people are here, Messi's going to stop by. And I told you, Andrea, stick with me, stay here. I think Messi's going to stop in. And what did you do?
I left. I didn't believe it.
Oh, man.
I left. But listen, it would have done anything. I wouldn't have been able to ask him anything because he was talking to them and to no one else. So it doesn't matter if I was there or not. You captured it, it's enough, because he wouldn't have talked to us
Stancy says he doesn't know you guys. Well, it's true. How can he know us if we never get a
If
chance
he
to talk
doesn't
to him?
talk to media.
We've had one
Mhm.
chance to talk to him, and that was literally
Mhm.
one question in his introductory press conference. I think it was before the Champions Cup final or right around there, where he was formally
Where he-
introduced a month after he had already been
Yeah.
in South Florida. Tank721 says those are his friends. He doesn't know who Arisita is. I mean, it's true. How is he going to know who we are if we never get any chance
Yeah,
to
we never
really
speak.
chat with him?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, some nice insights, some nice behind the scenes clip there. And yes, I mean, we would like to speak to him a little bit more as the local media that cover the team day in and day out, that have been here from day one in 2020.
No, and especially because he's playing in the United States of America. That's the American way. I have spoken to LeBron. I have spoken to Tom Brady, to Bill Belichick, with Stephen Curry. I've spoken to every superstar that plays in this country, and that's the American way. That's something new that doesn't happen in the rest of the world because it doesn't. You speak to them in the mix zone, but here access to superstars is granted to media, and unfortunately with Messi we don't get that. And
Messi
with
plays by his own rules.
Exactly. Not only with Messi, but with all of them four, we don't get them as much as we would like, and that's why we don't have an insight like we would normally have if we got that access to talk to Messi more often. And huh?
I'm just laughing at the comment section. Continue. Don't mind.
Don't
mind me. Askar Shove says, I think this is, I don't know if it's Russian, but I think it says Messi, Messi, Messi in another language. Can't quite make out what language it is because it's written in, well, different language. I don't know. Okay. People are still commenting about it. Messi, not a talker. He performs and goes back to his wife and kids. That's from Skrilla. Porfirio Munoz says, talking about the players you mentioned or the people you mentioned, they are all Americans. Nay Forever says, puta, 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 Madrid, Madrid. Clearly not a Madrid fan. Mike V says, don't feel too bad. He doesn't speak to Taylor Twellman either or to Alexa.
Yeah, that's what I said to whole media. He doesn't speak to anyone.
Endo says, Franco, y'all should know this team doesn't care about the day ones. No, no, no more.
Well,
Michael Scott. Like Michael
facts.
Scott.
He's like Kendrick Lamar.
Michael Scott. She's not my
facts.
no mo. All right. Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Maybe at some point we'll talk to Messi again this year. Hopefully. So, hopefully.
And if we do, we'll have it. We'll speak about
we will
that
share
in
it with
that
you
podcast.
guys.
Yes.
There's other content of him from this past weekend's game. It's from a bit further away where he's with his kids and they're bouncing the ball. It's crazy the comments that people leave just off of like a quick snippet, like the conclusions that people draw. It's funny. It's funny to me just reading the comment section.
No, Messi is. I always say Messi is on another level than anyone, because anytime you post anything about Messi, it goes viral. I've only seen that with, obviously in football with Messi and Cristiano, but with other pop stars, rock stars, or that you post something and you get reactions. I think Messi, the only person who can rival Messi here in the United States, I think it's LeBron and Taylor Swift, and that's it. Because you post anything about those people, it goes viral. And you post Messi just saying hi to someone, like we got a video of him when we were at the Heat game, at the playoff game. We got video of him leaving the Heat game, and it went viral, and it was just them walking in a hallway at the arena, Kaseya Center, as it's named.
Stancy says, bring him some mate or something. Not a bad idea, Stancy.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea. And Tank721 says, ¿Cómo es posible? I agree. ¿Cómo es posible? But yes, listen, there's clips. I put up another clip this past weekend of him jumping in his car with his kids. It's, there's a lot of views there. Follow us on Miami Total Futbol Radio's YouTube channel, and it's free. Just give us a subscription. Helps us out tremendously, and we provide you some behind-the-scenes content you're not going to find anywhere else. And it's raw. It's uncut. It's not pieced together and put into like Apple TV's documentary and make it look flowery. We're giving you the real stuff you're seeing behind the scenes. Whatever happens. If he picks his nose, he's picking his nose. If he's patting his kid on the head, he's patting his kid on, whatever the case is. But anyway, all right. Andrea, we will leave it there. We did a lot of catching up. We will be back next week. I would like to say we would be back before the midweek game against Orlando, but the problem is that game falls on a Wednesday, and my birthday is on Monday. So I'm going to celebrate with a nice dinner on Monday.
Franklin's going to be hungover.
No
still
way.
on Wednesday.
There's no drinking. No drinking for me on Monday. No drinking for me. It's Monday. But that leaves only
Maldición
Tuesday.
gitana.
That only leaves Tuesday, and knowing your guys' schedule, it's very, very difficult to ensure that we'll be back on Tuesday. So I will promise.
Listen.
I'll promise
Inter Miami fans have I just want to close up saying this. Inter Miami fans have a big opportunity because Orlando, they can destroy Orlando. Which was one of the teams that people thought that would be good, including myself. Inter Miami have the chance to end up parejas reign in Orlando if they dunk on them as they did here in South Florida. They could go to their stadium, which is named Inter and Company Stadium now. Since they named that stadium, I think that's the maldición, naming that stadium as your biggest rival. And I think Inter Miami fans should enjoy that because that are things, like you said, that are not going to be permanent, and winning against your biggest rival and possibly sacar el técnico it has to be sweet for Inter Miami fans.
Well, if they win big again, then maybe. But Stancy here in the comment section says Messi has horrible taste in music like Franco, so they could bond over that. It's my birthday in a few days. Can you guys treat me nicely, please? Can you guys treat me nicely? No, just kidding. Hey, listen, by the way, I have a question for you guys for next week. You can start thinking about it. You can start pondering. If you guys can guess how old I will be turning on Monday, whoever guesses correctly, you only get one guess. You don't get to put like 20 guesses. If you guess correctly, I don't know, I'll do a giveaway, and everybody who guessed correctly with their one guess will be in the drawing. I don't know what I'll give away yet. Maybe an Inter Miami shirt or a hat or something. I don't know, but I think I want to play that game. I'm curious to see how old people think I am or how I'm going to be.
Do you have your birthday on your social media? If you do, you have to go and take it off right now because people are going to stalk you, man.
People are already in the comment section going here. I'm seeing 3 different submissions already. But we'll be back next week for sure. I can't promise it'll be on Tuesday. If it is, then maybe we'll do some drinking on Tuesday if I can get you guys lined up. Otherwise, if not, it'll definitely be on Thursday, and we'll recap both this weekend's game and the midweek Clásico. So we'll be back next week. I will let you guys know on social media when. But for now, we'll leave it there. Start thinking very close. Start analyzing anything you need to analyze about how old I will be. Family and close friends are not permitted to partake in this. Okay? So, all right. We will leave it there. We will be back again next week. Thank you guys again so very much for listening and tuning in to Miami Total Futbol Radio, the show. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you guys again. I promise we're not going on another hiatus. We will talk to you guys again la próxima semana, a.k.a. next week.